Okay, hello everyone. If you're watching the replay, is this the right? It's still not the right layout. All right, I'm just gonna have to do it vertical for you guys. So sorry if this isn't the best live stream, but that's gonna have to work. I have no idea why it's not rotating the screen. I tried to fix it on my phone, but it doesn't seem to be changing. But I'm so sorry about this whole mess. I thought I had done a good job getting everything all set up before the live stream and I was going to start on time, but that didn't happen. All right, that's going to have to do. Sorry, hopefully everyone will see the new link that I posted on Patreon, but as I was saying in the last stream, I will talk about any questions you have, and I'm just going to be drawing. So yeah, let's go ahead and get started. I'm still in my pajamas, just working away. Before I started this live stream, I was editing a video which will hopefully go up today on YouTube. But I am working on some designs for the new collection. So if you saw my printable post, you saw a few of these designs, and I mentioned that I'm working on the new collection, getting some ideas and some designs done. So I have a few sketches that I've already done that I want to kind of draw. I'm not sure what is going to end up in the new collection. Like you guys know, it changes. This is the very beginning of designing, so it could look very different by the time I release this into the world, but these are the ideas that I have so far. You can kind of see a theme starting to develop, and I actually have a mood board that I created, which I'll show you if you want. I don't usually show this much like of the beginning, you know. I don't know why, I just have a hard time showing people, I guess, the very beginning of art because I feel like they won't see my vision for it. But I've made this mood board, which is kind of the inspiration that I'm going off of for this new collection. It's going to be released late autumn, which is why I've named it the Late Autumn Collection. The name might change depending on what I think of, but these are just some images I found online that I have gathered together. I wrote a little thing to kind of explain the mood of this collection. You can see like the inspiration for the frame doodles that I did from this photo that I really like. So this is what I'm going off of, and I have this color palette so far, but things always change. So we'll see what this turns into in the next few weeks, but let's go back to Procreate. So I'm using the app Procreate on my iPad, and I just have an Apple Pencil here, and I'm going to start drawing. Like I said, I have these sketches, but I'm going to go over them first with the technical pen, and then we'll use a nearly black color to do the outline. So let me make sure this is the right. It's a little too thick. Let's bring that down. All right. So let's start with this. Like I said, if you have anything you want me to talk about, feel free to leave it in the chat. But let me go back to Patreon on my laptop, because I know some of you guys left some things for me to talk about. Let's see. All right, so I'll just go through the list. First, Liv left a comment, and she said, "How do you handle negative comments on / rejection of your work. As an artist, your work is more personal, is more than personal to you. How do you deal with the negative? Not towards you, but your work. So first, if I get like negative comments about my work, I differentiate whether it's like just a rude comment or if it's constructive criticism. Because if somebody's just leaving a rude comment or just saying something unnecessary that doesn't help me at all, then I just kind of ignore it and I try not to take it personally. But then occasionally people will leave me constructive criticism that is actually helpful. And of course, sometimes that even constructive criticism can hurt because, I don't know, you might feel a little bit attacked when somebody's telling you something is wrong with your artwork or that you should change something. So you just have to kind of take a step back and look at whatever their comment is and see if you can actually apply it. I feel like the comments that hurt the most are the ones that you kind of were already thinking yourself. Those tend to be the ones that like actually hurt you. But if somebody says something that like doesn't even mean anything to you, if you really love the art that you made, then you're not usually affected by it. But for example, when I was in school, we would have critiques in my art classes where everyone would hang up their artwork and we would all sit around and critique each other's work, and both good and bad things, like tell each other what we like about the art and also what you could do differently. And I never really, when people had criticism of my work, I never really took it as a mean or negative thing. I took it as like helpful advice, especially when like my professors would tell me I should do something different when they saw something I was working on. I would always just take that as advice and like a good thing to keep in mind. So I think that's a long way to answer that question, but I think the summary of that is figure out if it's just a rude comment or if it's constructive criticism. If it's a rude comment, then ignore it. But if it's something that you can actually use to improve your work, then try not to look at it like an attack on you, but as something that will help you out. At least that's what I try to do. And I'm lucky because I feel like my community of people online is pretty like nice. I don't get a lot of negativity on my posts or videos, so I feel like I'm really lucky. But I'm always open for criticism, like constructive criticism. Let's see, what else? Claire left a comment asking if I could make a tutorial on how I create my videos. She said that she loves the way I incorporate quotes and words in every video, tutorial, and printables that I make. So I have been wanting to do something, whether it's like a video or even a post on Patreon or something explaining my process for creating videos. A lot of people have asked for that, so I might do that. I don't know exactly how I want to do that. Like maybe I've been thinking about making a YouTube video about it, but also I could just do a post for you guys on Patreon, so I'm not sure how that will go yet, but I do want to show you guys how I make my videos and that whole process. So let me know if that's something you would be interested in. I know that doesn't apply to everyone because not everyone wants to make videos, but maybe some of you want to or want to learn how I do it. Next, Khadija asks, how do you plan everything and get things done on time? Like how many things do you typically do in a day? So this is another thing that I've been wanting to make a post about, or a video or something, just explaining how I stay organized and plan everything. Sorry, I have a hard time talking and drawing at the same time. But let me just explain really quickly. I think I actually talked about this in another live stream, but essentially what I do at the beginning of each month is decide what I want to accomplish that month, and I put all of that on my calendar, like the days that I want to have things finished. And then I also add the steps in the calendar to achieve that, so whatever I need to do to get to that point where it's finished, I'll schedule that in. And then it's just like, once it's on my calendar, I know that I'm able to do it, and I just have to hold myself accountable to finish it. Sorry guys, I'm taking out the title of this book from the sketch because I'm going to hide the orange lines, but I want to keep this. I think I'm going to change the color. That way I don't have to trace over it again because it's already done. So to do that, I just cut that out, and I'm going to do alpha lock, and I'm going to do the 6B pencil, and I already have black, which I think is the color that I want it, and I'm going to just fill that in. Okay, back to how I plan and organize. So yes, I schedule everything in, and then I just have to stick to my schedule that I made for myself and actually do everything. But I know that if I put it on my calendar, it is possible. Like, I have the time, I just have to stick to that. But for how many things I typically do in a day, that it differs. It depends on what I'm doing and how much energy it takes to do it. And I kind of keep this in mind when I'm planning. For example, sorry, I didn't do this on a new layer. Alright, for example, if I plan to film a video one day, that takes up a lot of my creative energy, and I know that I won't be able to do a lot more, at least creative things that day, just because the video takes so much out of me. So I don't plan much on those days, but then there's other days where I can do a lot of different little tasks because they each don't take up a lot of energy. So you just have to kind of figure that out for yourself, and it takes time to learn that. I don't really have a set amount of things I do each day. I guess, like, on average, I try to plan like 3 things to accomplish in a day, but that's just kind of a random number that I picked. Like I said, it just depends on how much energy something takes and how much I can do in a day. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question. One more question on this post I had from Rachel. She says, do you ever get artist block, and how do you get through it? So I definitely get artist block. I feel like I have a list of things to go through, like steps to go through, or things to try out to figure out what kind of creative block it is and how to get through it, because I've realized that there are different kinds of creative blocks. There's the kind that you just need to take a little step back and then you can get back into it, or maybe you just need to keep working, you know, and then ideas will come to you. And then there's the creative block that you just need to completely step away from art for a while and not even think about it or look at it. And you have to figure out what kind of creative block it is. So for me, when I'm trying to figure that out, the first thing I try is to just keep working. There's that quote, it's like inspiration finds you working or something like that, and 100% believe that's accurate a lot of the time. Sometimes you just need to keep going. Like if you're working on a drawing, sometimes you just need to keep drawing and ideas will eventually come to you. And I find that's the case a lot of times for me. But then sometimes you do that and you're still, it's just like nothing's coming to you. And if you're still feeling stuck after you try that, then I like to take a short break and do something else that's not related to art. So that could be going for a walk or just something that I'm moving my body. I feel like that is really helpful. So even things like cleaning around the house, doing something like that, something where I'm still moving but it's not art related, that really helps me, and then I can come back to the art and usually feel more refreshed and have more ideas and ready to keep working. But then if that doesn't work, then I move on to the next step, which essentially is to just let it all go and accept the fact that this isn't going to be a day where I am creative. And I think that's something important to realize every now and then, that you have those days and not push yourself to do something anyways, because we can't force our creativity all the time. I just don't think that ever really works out. So you have to accept when it's just a day that it's not going to happen for you. And when I have those days, I set the intention that the next day I'm going to wake up and be ready to work again, but I'll just give myself a break that day. And that might mean like just taking the day off completely from anything, or just doing other tasks. So that's kind of my process for figuring out what kind of creative block I have and how to get through it. Hopefully that helps you. I've actually talked about it, I think, on Patreon. Maybe it was in a podcast episode, or did I make a video about it? I can't remember. I feel like I talked about it on Patreon a few months ago. So let's get back to this drawing. I don't know if I love these colors for this book. It does kind of go with this. I'll keep going with it. I can always change it later. So I'm just now adding like shadows and things. Usually books have a crease right here, so let's see if I can do this. I hope you guys are all having a great Friday. I don't have any plans for this weekend. I kind of just want to get caught up on some things that I didn't finish this week. Although I usually try not to do much work on the weekends, I just have a hard time like turning off work since I work from home. I have a hard time just taking a break. So I usually try not to schedule anything on the weekends, but this week was a little bit busy for me, so I didn't finish everything on my to-do list. I also just want to get ahead. I'm going on a trip at the end of this month to Victoria, Canada, which I am very excited about. It will be my first time there. Not my first time in Canada. I went, if you saw, to Canada back in July for a hiking trip, which was really fun. But I'm excited to see the western side. And I eventually want to go up to Vancouver. I've heard that's a beautiful city. But yeah, we're going to Victoria at the end of this month. So I have lots of things that I want to finish. I have lots of plans for this new collection and just for things that I want to bring to my shop in the autumn and winter. I think that I'm going to launch the new collection and all the new products in November. At least that's my goal. I want to have a lot of things in my shop for people to potentially order for Christmas gifts. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So I want to do more than just stickers. Right now, that's really been all I've had in my shop. I've had a few other little things, but I want to branch out. So you might have seen my behind the scenes of creating washi tape. I am hoping to have that. That's still in the works, but I'm still hoping to have that in the shop. And then I've got other stationery things and just lots of fun ideas that I have. But I need to get all of that done this month. That way I can order everything in October and let it all come in. That way I can launch it in November. So that means I've got a lot on my plate. But I'm excited about it, and I'm excited to share this stuff with you. I will share more behind the scenes once I have a little bit more to show you. But right now I just have these designs that I'm working on and some other little things, but you'll see them soon. But be on the lookout for that. Esmeralda just asked a question. Best way to use printables? Yeah, it's pretty much just whatever you want to do with them. For myself, whenever I use a printable, even my own, I actually have my printable that I posted yesterday here on my desk because I was thinking of cutting these out and using them myself. But as you just saw, that's just on regular computer paper, nothing fancy. And then I just glue it onto my journal or planner or whatever I'm using it for. I don't think there's one thing that's better than the other. If you have sticker paper and you want to make stickers, you can, but you don't have to. I just glue them on, and I think that works perfectly fine. Whatever you have on hand. Sometimes I'll print the designs on cardstock. That way it's just a little bit nicer, like heavier weight, and it usually prints a little bit more clearly, but it's whatever you want to do. Sorry, I'm kind of slow coloring this in. Like I said, I just have a hard time talking and drawing at the same time. That's fine for now. I think I'm going to add more to it eventually, but let's move on so this doesn't get too boring. I really love this frame that I did, and I'm thinking of doing a full, like a big drawing, kind of like this frame, but make it more elaborate and potentially draw something in it, and maybe having that be a little print that I saw in my shop. I'm not sure. Haven't even started on that, but that's just an idea I had after I drew that. Let's see, Barry says, I'm in the market for a new printer. Do you use one that you can recommend? So I've had the same printer for like 6 or 7 years, and I love it. It's the Canon Pixma something. I can't remember the numbers. It's like M3200, something like that. However, they don't have that specific model anymore. They have a new one. So you can check that out. I'm happy with it. It's not like a super nice printer, but it does the job, and I'm still able to print things from it for my shop, and it looks fine. And I used to use it to print all my stickers when I made them myself. So I would recommend that. I don't really have any other printer recommendations just because I haven't tried any other printers. Eventually I'd like to get a really nice one so I can make my own art prints at home and not have to always get those professionally done. But yeah. So this is supposed to be a little bunch of lavender. So we'll see how this turns out. So the video that I have going up, hopefully today, is going to be a flat lay tutorial. And I'm posting that on YouTube, and then of course I've got more photography tutorials coming that will be exclusive to Patreon. But I'm excited about that one. I wanted to do something photography related for my YouTube channel, so I thought the flat lay video would be good. If you guys have any specific photography tutorials you want me to do this month, let me know. So far what I have planned is I want to do one with just basic photography tips and kind of how to improve your photos, no matter what camera you're using. I want to share how I edit my photos. I know I showed you guys how I edit photos on my phone, but I want to show you how I edit photos on my laptop, like nice pictures, like the ones you see on my website. So that will be coming, but let me know if you have specific things you want me to talk about this month. I didn't really look at a picture when I was drawing this lavender, so it kind of looks a little weird, but I'm thinking once I color it in, it'll be obvious that it's lavender. Or I might just have to redraw it. I think this is looking okay. Yeah, that doesn't look too bad. I always draw things like roses and, I don't know, flowers like that, so I'm trying to branch out. I know I've done drawings like this before, but I'm just trying to do some different plants, I guess. So I have the lavender here, I have an olive branch, and I'm trying to think of other things to do. Although I love the rose. I do these roses all the time, but I just love them, and I think they look good on everything. And they just kind of go with this aesthetic that I have right now. It's finally getting a little bit cold here in Seattle, which is really nice. I'm so excited for fall. The trees outside my window in my living room are finally starting to just turn a little bit golden. So I see the first signs of fall coming. I think fall is my favorite season. I used to say summer was my favorite, and I think that's just because where I grew up, we didn't really have much of an autumn. It just kind of, everything turned brown and then it was cold and not fun. But autumn up here in the north is so beautiful because the leaves turn pretty colors and you have several months of good autumn weather, like a little bit chilly but not too cold before winter gets here. I grew up mostly in Alabama, so if you've been to Alabama, you know the autumn season doesn't really exist there. It kind of is summer for like 9 months out of the year and then goes straight to winter and everything's just brown and dead and not pretty. So I have spent one autumn here in Seattle so far. This will be my second. Very excited to just explore. I love hiking in the autumn, just so beautiful and perfect weather. I want to go up to the Cascades, the North Cascades, hike around there. I only went once last year. I should have gone more. But I also would love to do an autumn road trip. I haven't planned it out at all, but maybe that will happen. We'll see how much time I have. but these months seem to pass by really quickly, like between now and Christmas. So I always have all these ideas for what I want to do, and then time runs out. But I want to do a road trip, potentially down the West Coast. Not all the way down, but I haven't really seen much of Oregon, so I want to see Oregon and Northern California. Oh, that's so cool, Barry, that you live on Whidbey Island. I have been there once, I think. I went to some island up there. I'm pretty sure it's Whidbey. But beautiful, I love it. That's cool that we're close. What color do I want to do? This is my color palette that I have for this collection, but I don't really have a purple. I could just use one of these colors anyways. Let's try this. That's almost purple. I'll stick with this. I might change it later, but this is fine for now. So, some other things that I'm planning for my shop. I guess I can talk about that a little bit. Nothing is set in stone so far, so I don't know what is actually going to end up in my shop. But like I said, I want to do a washi tape. I want to do maybe some sort of journal kit or art kit. I don't really know what that would consist of besides just stationary things, but I think that would be really cool, and I think that would be a great gift to give someone. I want to do notebooks that I design the cover of, but that's a large project, and I know it's coming up real close since I want to have everything done by the end of this month. We'll see if I can get something like that done, but I would love to do custom notebooks. What else? I had a list of things that I want to do. Oh, pins, either enamel pins or just like the round pin back buttons. I have sold pin back buttons before, last year I think, and a lot of you guys really liked that, so I might bring those back because they're really cheap, so it's just an accessible way for you to get my art, which I think is cool. And I love the pin back buttons. I think they're really fun. So I want to do more of those, but also enamel pins would be cool. But I don't even know what I would design yet. So I gotta think about that. What else was I thinking? I can't remember. I just had a bunch of ideas. The other day I just started brainstorming all of the things that I want to have in my shop. And just like the sort of things that I would want to purchase as gifts is what I'm thinking of making. Oh, I want to do maybe like some sort of tote bag where I print the design on it. Maybe like a block print. I'm thinking of carving a stamp or a screen print, but I've never done screen printing before, so I would have to research how to do that. I kind of know what the process is, and I know it's a lot, but I think that would be really cool. But a block print would be easy, so that's something I was thinking of. Everyone uses tote bags. I have tons of them for groceries, and I love them. So those are some of the things that I'm thinking of bringing to the shop. I know it's a little ambitious to have a long list of products that I want to create in the next month, but sometimes I feel like I work best under pressure, like when I have to get things done in a short amount of time. Do you guys ever procrastinate by doing work you don't need to be doing. I find myself doing that too often, more often than I should. But I will like have something that I know I need to finish, like I don't know, a video or a design for something, and I know that I need to do it, but for some reason I just want to procrastinate, and I don't procrastinate by just not doing anything or like watching Netflix or something. I procrastinate by doing other work, like answering emails even though those could wait, or just doing other unnecessary work. That way I still feel productive, but I'm procrastinating. You know, it's a problem. I know, but I'm working on it. I kind of like this bright pop of red for this string. Yes, I'm glad that I'm not the only one. Exactly. It's usually, when I procrastinate, it's usually things that are creative that require a lot of like thinking, and I don't want to put in the energy at that moment, so then I procrastinate by doing easy things like emails or whatever. But I'm glad that I'm not the only one who has this problem. Yes, I do listen to Brockhampton. I have not listened to the new album. I need to. I feel like so much new music has come out lately, but I have heard great things about it. I'm very excited. I do enjoy Brockhampton. I've been listening to Lana Del Rey's new album, which came out last week or the week before, which is incredible as always. Who else? I mean, Taylor Swift. If you're a Taylor Swift fan. Her album came out not too long ago. But yeah, it's just the season of new music. Oh, and Post Malone last week dropped his new album, so it's been fun. So I kind of like this, but I want to add more detail to these drawings. I don't know yet. I'm just kind of getting my ideas down, and they will be refined over the next few weeks. I have heard of the Staves. I've only listened to a few of their songs, so I'm not, I don't know that much about their music, but I do enjoy what I've heard from them. I love like folk music, like indie folk music is probably one of my favorite genres, so I listen to quite a lot of that. Alright, that's fine for now. We'll work on that later. Let's do this olive branch. So I've been debating whether or not I want to do outlines on my drawings. The past several sticker sheets I've released, I have drawn them in this style where I do a black outline, which I do like that look, but if you guys remember my goddess collection that I released last year, that one was just a very sketchy and not, it didn't have any outlines, and I kind of like that look as well, so I'm trying to figure out what style to do this in. So far I'm just going with the outlines because that's what I've been doing, and I feel like for stickers at least, the designs kind of need some sort of outline so that they stand out. Because they're so small, the design is so small, it can kind of get muddled and like lost if you don't have an outline. So we will see. This is definitely my favorite brush to use for outlines. It's the Technical pen. Let's see, every now and then I like to just check and see how this is looking. Yeah, that's okay. Have you guys ever read this book, Jane Eyre? I had to read it in high school. I think it was during my senior year of English class. And that was one of our required books to read. And to be honest, usually I did not enjoy the books that I had to read for English class, but Jane Eyre was my favorite book that I ever had to read for school. If you haven't read it, you definitely should. If you enjoy, I guess it's kind of like a period book. It's about, I think it's the time period like 1800s, I could be wrong. But I love books in that setting, and it was so good, so I recommend that. But definitely my favorite book I had to read in English class. And I feel like the book just kind of goes with this aesthetic that I'm going for here. Maybe. Alright, guess I'm gonna leave it like that. Or maybe I need to go in and add some more details before I color this in. Alright, I will stick with that for now. And let's go back to my 6B pencil. This is my go-to for coloring in, because I like that it adds a little bit of texture, so it looks like a drawing. This is kind of relaxing to do. If you have a bunch of sketches done, to just like go over them and trace them and fill them in. It's very relaxing. it's cool that you're getting into digital drawing. It can be intimidating, but since I've started doing more digital artwork, I just love it so much. Like, this is my favorite way to draw now. Every now and then I like to go back to pen and paper because I do miss the physical aspect of drawing on paper. But I just love how easy digital drawing is. Maybe not easy. I like how you can quickly change something, you can delete things, you can erase, and you get to the final product quicker than if you were doing it by hand on paper. So I think that's what I like about it. It has really made my art process faster, because if you didn't know, my process in the beginning of my early shop days, when I was designing stickers, I would always start by drawing on paper by hand and then turning those drawings digital, and that was just a long process. So last year I invested in this iPad and have just been loving the digital drawing ever since, because like I said, it just makes everything a little quicker, I guess. But it does take some getting used to if you are used to only doing pen and paper drawings. It can be a little weird to draw on a screen. But I think it works really well for me personally, because I've always loved digital art. When I was in school, I thought I was going to go into graphic design after school, and I kind of have done that for myself. But I thought that I was going to be a graphic designer. So I just love like digital art and always have. So I feel like this just works well for me with my process of creating. I guess, what color should I do the stem? Maybe this color. I don't actually know the exact coloring of an olive branch. I guess I probably should have looked into that. I did look at a reference photo when I was sketching this, just so I could get the shapes of the leaves and everything accurate. And then I really don't know what color olives are when they are on the branch. I think they're really dark. Well, I guess it depends on what kind of olive it is. I don't know. I actually don't like olives, so I never eat them. I don't buy them. I feel like that's an unpopular opinion. Everyone in my family loves olives. I don't know why. I'm not really a picky eater at all. I like most things, but for some reason I just don't enjoy the taste of olives. I know that's very random and I don't know why I brought it up, but yeah, I don't enjoy olives. And I've tried lots of different kinds. I've tried the fancy ones from like Spain. I've had green olives, I've had black olives, I feel like I've tried a wide variety and I still don't enjoy them. So now I'm just going in and adding more details to the leaves, like some shading and some highlights here and there. Gotta add some shadows. as I said earlier, I'm kind of just going through all of these sketches really quickly, and then I'll go back in and refine them more. But I just want to get all of my ideas out there and then see where everything is headed. But I like this so far. I think it goes well with the rest of the drawings. Cool. Well, I think I am going to end the live stream here. I still have these sketches to do. I think this one is going to be a little piece of paper. I wanted it to look kind of like a love letter, but I realized that that's not really going to be evident just by a small piece of paper with scribbles on it. So we'll see how I do that. And then this is like a little locket, which I might add some more details to this, but I need to color that in. But I kind of like how that goes with everything else. And then I need to think of more things to add. But I think this is going to be the end. Thank you guys so much for joining me, for chatting and asking questions. I apologize for the mess in the beginning of this live stream. Next time I will hopefully have it sorted out so that this live stream is not vertical, it's horizontal. But sorry about that in the beginning. I hope that you guys have a wonderful weekend, and I will chat with you again very soon. Bye everyone.